Intro music.
Over narration.
Doctor!
My name is Joey.
My name is James.
And this is the Brothers Padre. Another beautiful week in San Diego, California, James. If you're new to the Brothers Padre, I ask you to follow us on Twitter, James. Do you follow us on Twitter?
I do.
I know, we have 3 followers.
And so are you. So my mom doesn't have a Twitter account. So we thank you, fan out there. Whoever you are, you're doing the Lord's work.
Our handle is @BrothersPadre. We occasionally tweet funny things, so please follow us on Twitter. We will any sort of future communication will probably happen on there as well. And thanks so much for your listenership. But James, enough with housekeeping. Let's just get right into it, James.
Yes, again, if you're new to the podcast, we do 2 podcasts a week. We do every Thursday a recap of the Padres week in baseball, and on Tuesday we do generic topics, what's happening in baseball, what are the Padres doing, health-wise, all kind of stuff. And today is said episode. This is Tuesday, May 11th.
James, the first topic that everyone's talking about, the people need to hear about from us, is that Fernando Tatis Jr. is on the injured list once again. Not with a febrile tear, not with an over-encumberment of money. He has the coronavirus.
He has the corona. I thought it was over.
Nope.
I mean...
Nope, not over, buddy.
It's not over.
Not over. Some states it says it's over.
Some states, yeah. Oh.
But you're a traveling man like Tatis. You're around lots of people.
But the key thing is it would be one thing if it was just Tatis.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's
Jorge Mateo and Jurickson Profar. They haven't announced that they're tested positive, but they're in the quote-unquote contact tracing part of the MLB protocol, which is looking like to be that they're going to see if they're going to hold them back and see if they're going to have coronavirus. Because Tatis is tested positive asymptomatically. He says he feels fine. He says he feels awful because he feels awful he can't play because he feels like he can play.
Yeah, he always thinks he thought he could play the day after he ripped his shoulder out of his socket.
Yeah. So this is the protocol in MLB is kind of weird. So it's not a defined.
What? Major League Baseball has a weird protocol. It doesn't make any sense. They have a rule that is archaic and weird. What are you talking about? Major League Baseball? No. Please go on with this unusual development.
So it's not a set time.
Of course it's not.
Because it's not like a 10-day IL. It could be if he tests negative in 3 days, he's off the IL. So no one really knows how long he's going to be gone. What we do know is that we have 3 people who are unable to play on the IL for an undetermined amount of time.
and in case you aren't following the Padres as closely as Joey and I are, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
The Padres have a position in their team called the outfield, where we need 3 players at each game, and we usually have a couple backups.
Yep.
Yeah. Jorge Mateo was said one of backups, and so was Jurickson as one of the rotating stars in the outfield. So we have 0 depth in the outfield right now.
They recalled infield outfielder Tucupita Marcano, star of spring training. We also recalled right-handed pitcher Nabil Krismet and selected outfielder John. I forgot to print out a pronunciation guide, so I apologize. John Andrielli?
Andrielli.
Yeah,
that's not offensive.
I think he's Italian.
He's Italian.
Surprisingly, you texted me this. Where's O'Grady? Because O'Grady was mashing in AAA.
Yeah.
He was fighting for the job that Mateo got.
I might as well go all in. It's just another example of Italians stealing jobs from the Irish.
Wow. I didn't say that joke. That voice was James. Yeah, so it's we don't have much depth, buddy.
We don't.
In the outfield, we're kind of. Let's just hope our outfielders stay alive because it gets real thin real fast.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
So it's to be determined with Tatis, what he does, when he comes back. I don't think he's going to be gone for a while. How long was Paddock gone for? Personal injured reasons for an indeterminate amount of time, i.e. he
was gone for
7 days?
like 7 games.
He missed
one start,
which the pitcher could be 10 days, I guess.
I don't know. I don't know how long he's going to be gone, but I do know it's the Dodgers' fault. I don't know how they poisoned our team, but it's not the Padres' fault. The Dodgers are sucking. It's the Dodgers' fault, and this is clearly some sort of espionage.
You think they planted the COVID in like the private jet that I assume this is how I thought. So how is it that only 3 guys get contact traced in a team jet, in like a team plane, right? So then I was thinking Tatis has all of his money now. He must fly private, right?
Well, yes, but Tatis and Jurickson Profar are really good friends. Everyone says how good friends they are. So,
all I'm trying to say is the Dodgers put COVID in Tatis's private jet.
Exactly. Or they had some sort of spy come into our locker and find all the pink items and put. Yeah. All right, let's get back to real things.
None of that substantiated. It's complete fallacy. So, I don't. It kind of stinks because we're going to Coors today. We've watched most of a game, and I wouldn't say a typical Coors game, but a pretty typical Coors game.
We will talk about it. This game is still currently going on. We will talk about it in our recap episode. Yeah. But hey, Joe.
Yeah.
At least Will Myers is healthy. He hits Colorado better than anybody.
Yeah. Will Myers left the game. He injured his elbow running against the chain link fence, and so hopefully he's fine. I think it's precautionary more than anything else. I would think
the key thing is we are out of outfielders. There are no more players to play outfield.
Yeah, and then Tatis being gone, we don't get his bat in Colorado, but Colorado, so maybe we'll be fine. We're currently winning the game. I doubt we're going to lose the game today. I think this weekend's going to stink against Cardinals without him. I think Tatis' bat will be missed there against much better pitching. But I think he'll be back. I think it'll all clear up by... I mean, they're saying that like an average COVID stint could be 6 to 10 days. And if he's asymptomatic and tests negative, I bet he's back as soon as he can.
Of course he's back as soon as he can.
And I think we're a good enough team that we're not going to miss... We're going to miss him, obviously. The guy, is incredible. We've detailed this extensively before, but we can make up his defense. Actually, we get better defense with Kim.
Yes, we do.
At short, at least at this stage of Tatis' career.
But he is our best hitter on our team.
Yeah. So we're going to miss his bat for sure. But we're a deep enough lineup, deep enough roster. They have depth to make up some of it. So interesting how it plays out. James, speaking of Will Myers and outfield, we've already mentioned it. Depth is an issue right now, but I think it's an issue long term. I want to have a discussion about where are our weaknesses right now in the San Diego Padres roster, right now, and in this season as well. James,
if I were to list our weaknesses. Our bullpen has none. Our bullpen's so good we can lose a piece and still be the best bullpen in baseball.
Oh, we haven't mentioned that Keanu Kella also left due to forearm tightness.
And because he's throwing a heavier ball. Major League Baseball, you dinguses. Anyways. So, bullpen, not a problem. Our starting pitching... It is one of the more elite starting pitching rotations in baseball.
Yeah.
I think how overly cautious we are currently with Lamet and Weathers. I think it's a good thing because we wanted to get it ready. If we could get one more good starter, I think we'd be untouchable in our rotation. The only weakness we have right now is in our outfield depth. And maybe if we could also get one giant bat more in our lineup, I think that would be a big deal.
Let's do one by one. Let's talk about starting pitching. Let's talk about starting pitching first. I think you're right. I think it's weird right now because as we're on this episode 2 games ago, right on Sunday, there was Paddock pitched for 3 innings, looked good, and then a piggyback.
Best he's looked all year. He got into a Paddock jam, right. And for the first time, I think, in 2 years, he got out of it without allowing it to run. Like, oh, wow, that's Paddock. And he was more positive about himself in the after the game, the interview. So, yeah, it was a positive improvement for Paddock. I'm willing to give him another shot. Another start, Paddock.
Our son, Ryan Weathers, comes in, does Ryan Weathers things, shuts them down.
If Ryan Weathers continues to be the most dominant left-handed pitcher in baseball, because he has a 0.81 ERA.
Yeah, very, very low.
Very, very low.
Sub one.
Phenomenal. He is clearly the rookie of the year. I don't care how many home runs or RBIs anyone else hits right now in the rookie. He is the best rookie in baseball right now.
I don't disagree with you, but it's also weird because he pitched 3 innings and then went to bullpen game. I think Weathers should be a starter in the rotation.
I agree.
Over Paddock.
I agree.
But what's weird about this week has been, like I said, there's a piggyback of 3 innings after 3 innings. I like that idea because you basically say to the manager, hey, do you want to flip your lineup around in the 4th inning? No, they're not going to start replacing. So what I mean by that is Paddock comes in. Well, then they know that. So they're like, oh, here's a bunch of lefties. In the 4th inning, Weathers comes in. Lefty on lefty, traditionally harder to do, whatever.
Yes.
Platooning's hard at that point. And you're going to make the manager be like, I'm just going to eat 2 or 3 innings of easy outs against my guys. And I like that. I like that approach. But it's weird because you want starters to go longer than 3 innings. You want that, right? You want a guy to go longer than that. So it's weird to have a bullpen. It's weird to have a roster spot devoted to 2 guys that make up 1 start.
I agree.
Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe that actually is a good idea. Maybe it's a good idea to have 2 guys that are just like, oh, hey, we can swing back and forth because maybe Weathers one day does the same thing for Lamet. Maybe he does it for, Snell when Snell has a 5-inning game, right? I don't know. But it just seems to me like if I'm drawing out a rotation, I want to have a pitcher that goes 5 innings regardless. I want my starter to go 5 innings at least. I just wonder if that's like the strategy to maintain health long term, where they have these 2 guys, Paddock and Weathers, that can do 3 inning starts every 5 days. Right? At that point, if that's your goal, then you kind of are at this place where you're using those 2 starters half the time of other starters. It seems a little crazy to me because you're just burning quote unquote burning a spot. And if Lamet is played with kitty gloves all year, because right now let's name a rotation before we get further into this. We have Darvish, Snell, Musgrove, Paddock, Weathers for 4, and then Lamet.
Yeah,
Lamet's obviously when he's best, he's a top 3 guy. And so what happens now is like we have 6 potential starters, right?
Yes.
And currently this week we aren't using all 6 to start each game, 6 different games. And Lamet isn't pitching long. He's his 3rd outing today, less than 30 pitches. And he doesn't have as much velocity. He got outs. He's not giving up runs.
He had good looking stuff, just not as fast as he can throw. It's just weird because they I get why they're pampering him because people think he should have had surgery. He'll probably have surgery during this offseason. I don't understand. I hate to say this, but move him to the bullpen then. If we're only going to keep him for 2 innings, move him to the bullpen and give. But again, Weathers suffered from his dead arm, so are they just trying to get these?
It's like a weird game of musical chairs. It's
exactly.
Like, you hurt? No, you come in. No, you hurt? No, you get out.
Exactly. It's very weird. That's why I think if we could get one more dominant starter, we would be unstoppable.
Yeah,
because we could play musical chairs with the 5th starter, but not for 2 starters.
Yeah. I think weirdly we're in an okay spot. I just worry about this strategy of piggybacking and Lamet only throws 2 innings. Is that we're just going to destroy our bullpen? Yes,
and that's right now we have the best bullpen in all of baseball forever, and if we have more bullpen innings thrown than any other team in baseball, even more than the Rays, and the Rays always have more bullpen because that's how they just like to play.
I wonder if it's like a mix. So I'm just curious to see if we don't get. So we talk about weaknesses, how we fix them. We talked about it before in the All-Star break. If certain teams like the Nationals are doing bad, we go after Scherzer or someone like that. To a really top line bulldog kind of playoff guy. I wonder if there's no one available in the All-Star break, if we go full Rays. If we just say no, Lamet is our opener. Lamet just goes ham for 2 innings and gives us 2 innings. And then we just fill out the rest. And maybe we do piggyback. Maybe because Ryan Weathers is already incredibly versatile what he's done this year. He's done 3 innings saved at the end of a game. He's started. He's piggybacked. He's capable of being like, hey, I'll just do what. I mean, he's obviously down to do whatever. He's completely selfless of a guy.
He's a gamer.
Yeah. He came in, his major league debut was in the playoffs, struck out nationally MVPs. He's not afraid of anything, and he's willing to just compete. So I wonder if they see that and like, hey, this kid could piggyback Paddock or Lamet. And if we get Lamet to, if we're playing rehab with Lamet, but Lamet can guarantee us 2 scoreless innings every 5 games.
You're definitely playing strategy if you can guarantee 2 or 3 guaranteed shutout innings, and then a reliever comes in for another 3 guaranteed shutout innings. Then all of a sudden that's 6 innings. That's not a bad strategy.
It's just so. I don't think there is not a National League team that does that. The Rays do it, and the Athletics do it, but I don't think there's a National League team that does that. And I would be curious to see if that's kind of what the fallback plan is. Come All-Star break, we can't get anybody. I think that we do need to address it. I think we need. I personally don't like the idea of just abusing our bullpen arms like that. I think it'd be better to have a front of the line starter that's like a Scherzer.
Yes.
Come All-Star break. But the Nationals have to be bad. The Nationals cannot be.
Yeah. Who wouldn't want Max Scherzer in the rotation?
Yeah.
The man's in front. The man's just scary. Nolan Ryan said he's the scariest pitcher he's ever seen. Yeah. And his name was Nolan Ryan. It's intense.
Any thoughts about our starting pitching, Jane, before we move on to our next weakness?
No, we've said everything. There's nothing more to say.
The next weakness, James, I mentioned it, outfield. We're currently lacking a lot of them. We have two minor leaguers who is our depth pieces and not major league caliber players. And in general, I think that we just don't have any. We're currently every team is suffering. What's the word I'm looking for? Offensive firepower in the outfield and anywhere, but we definitely need we need a more power heavy outfield bat. I think that's something that we just need. We need We need another threat in the outfield.
Yes, we do. Jerickson Profar is a good, consistent hitter, but his power are singles and walks. He doesn't have a lot of power. The rumor that has been a rumor since the beginning of the season is the Texas Rangers' Joey Gallo. It's his contract year. The Rangers are one of the worst teams I've ever seen.
They're pretty bad.
They're
Listen, I understand Joe Musgrove got the no-hitter on him.
Yes.
It still counts. But also they're one of the worst teams we've seen.
One of the worst teams. Hey, it doesn't, I mean, it did hurt Joe Musgrove's no-hitter that he's facing the worst offensive team in the last half century. They're not really that, but Joey Gallo is on the chopping block. The Rangers have even said they're interested in moving him. It might be worth giving up a couple of our prospects, like an O'Grady, like Tupaquito Moncano for him, because he's a pretty decent outfielder and he's also a legit power hitter.
He's someone you don't want to throw a mistake to.
No,
and that means something in a lineup. He's not a great average hitter. He doesn't hit for average, but he's a couple of years he's hit more home runs than singles, right?
Yes,
but that's a threat. It means, hey, you have to be on your P's and Q's, and that matters. That just matters. It just does. Yeah.
And so that's one, and the other one we've talked about before is Chris Bryant. He's having nothing but problems with the Cubs. He wants to leave Chicago. It's also his contract year. And we've proven that we can trade for the Cubs for practically nothing and get a star or two. And it would just be great if we could get Chris Bryant. He's also a legit threat, and that would be awesome to get him. I would rather have Bryant because he's probably a better long-term player, and he's more versatile because he's an infielder and an outfielder, and he's an average hitter as well. Batting average hitter, opposed to just also a power hitter. But I think this might offend our Texas Ranger fans out there. Gallo might be a cheaper get.
Yeah, cheaper. He's definitely a cheaper get.
If Chris Bryant goes...
Chris Bryant's won an MVP. So
Chris Bryant, yeah. If Chris Bryant goes anywhere, it's to the Yankees. There's no... I don't see how... If the Yankees somehow... They're doing all right now, but they're still not the first in the division. If they really want to make a playoff run, they're making big-time deals before the end of the season.
Yeah. It just depends on what the Cubs want to do. We've talked about a little bit. The Cubs don't really know what they want to do with their lives. So we don't... I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, no, we're holding on to him and just not winning the division. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like one game over 500 and the Brewers are like 10 games over 500 and they're like, we have a shot, but they don't. And they just hold on to Bryant and they don't do anything with him.
And he just signs to another team?
Yeah. I don't know. I said that out loud. I don't believe myself anymore. They're going to trade him. They're going to have to trade him.
They're going to have to trade him. I mean, the thing is,
unless they're so far and away taking division, unless they have the division in lock, they're going to trade him.
Yeah. I mean, that and Chris Bryant has said he feels like the ownership has stolen from him. They gave him an unfair contract. He doesn't like the way they're going. He's just tired of playing for that team. He is going to leave Chicago.
Listen, he went to USD. He's a familiar San Diego. Come on, Prowler, get on the phone.
Yeah, come back to San Diego. You remember the taco shops. Yeah. They're the best in the world. Yeah. Come back to the tacos, Brian. Come back to the tacos.
If Bryant's cheap, we should get him. If Bryant is not cheap, we should get Gallo.
Yes. Exactly.
I wouldn't mind someone like, it depends on the Marlins are bad. Corey Dickerson's nice in the Marlins. Someone like that would be okay. I just think that we need something better because I like Jurickson Profar when he comes back, and I like Jorge Mateo, but they are not threats. They're not like, oh, oops, I left one hanging, and then Mateo's like, I popped it up. I like Jorge Mateo, I really do, but it's not. If this is a team that's stacked to go to the World Series, and then we need to start thinking like that, and we need to start being like, no, we need to
Jorge Mateo would look awesome in a Marlins uniform. He just looks like a Marlin player.
With Jazz Chisholm? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Him and Jazz would be totally good friends. I like this idea.
Yeah.
Corey Dickerson, come on home. I don't know if he's from here. I'm going to assume he is. But James, there's actually someone that possibly could play our outfield. He's on the waiver wire. Do you want to tell the folks who that is?
Joey is trying to make a joke. Even though time and time again he's proven he is incapable of such an act. He is talking about the future Hall of Famer, Albert Pujols, who hasn't played in the outfield, I'm guessing, in 17 years. He is the slowest runner in Major League Baseball. He's been timed the slowest runner in all Major League Baseball, and the Angels cut him.
Do you want to go through the story behind it?
Behind his contract?
Behind how he was cut, like behind why he was cut and all that.
Well, the Angels are trying to make a legit play for the playoffs. They have the best team in the AL West, I think. And Pujols was costing them runs and at bats, and certainly he's not good in the defense anymore. So they cut him, put him on the waiver wire, and just gave him his last $20 million in his contract to cut him loose. I get it as a business standpoint why you'd cut him. But as a baseball fan, and as somebody that has loved Albert Pujols from the day he was signed, and it's just... He's one of my all-time favorite players, without a doubt. Way back when he first started, Joey and I were in a fantasy baseball league with our other two brothers, our father, and our dad's three brothers. Yes.
Lots of brothers.
That is a thing. So, and I got Albert Pujols his rookie season for $3. And I had him the entire time we played Fantasy League, and he's the reason why I've won a few of those years, because he is just a phenomenal player. And it's not his fault. The Angels offered him $250 million for 10 years on his downwards part of his career. No unthinking person would have taken that deal, Everyone would have taken that deal.
Oh, of course.
Oh, I'm 31 years old. You're going to offer me $250 million to play until I'm 41? That's not his fault. That's the Angels' fault. I just think if they knew they could have gotten rid of him, they probably could have traded him during the offseason, maybe given a team some money to maybe have him play the DH for a couple American League teams just to give him his final farewell tour. Albert Pujols deserved a farewell tour season. He deserved to go to every stadium and every stadium come out and give him, like what we did with Chipper Jones and a few others, a surfboard. San Diego Padres, respect you, you know. Right. Pujols, one of the best hitters of all time, had some of the best numbers of all time, deserved a farewell tour, and for me, I'm just upset about it. I think he deserved a farewell tour. I understand why the Angels did it. I also think they could have handled it better and just given to another team.
Yeah,
Why don't the Rangers have him?
Yeah.
The Rangers suck. They're not going to do any worse or better without him.
True.
He would have been a DH in that league, in that team.
He still can. He's still available.
Yeah, I know. You hear that, Texas? What else you got to lose this year? Literally nothing. You are going to lose 100 games this year.
Just to put some context behind Albert Pujols, how many times do you think he finished the top 10 of MVP votes?
His first 10 years, every first 10 years, he finished top 5 every year in his first 10 years.
Won the MVP 3 times. First, as a rookie of the year, he was also finished 4th, 2nd, 3rd, 1st, 2nd, 9th, 1st, 2nd, 5th in the first 10 years of his career.
Yeah.
He, total counting stats, he had 10,925 at bats. He could still have more.
Yeah, exactly.
But he currently has 3,253 hits, 667 home runs, and a career batting average of 298.
The thing is, he also has 5 home runs this year, so he still has power.
He's okay against lefties.
Yes.
Listen, there are plenty of first basemen that are not okay against lefties. That team should sign Albert Pujols.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't say put him in the defense, but definitely a DH.
In Baseball Reference, he is listed as a left fielder, technically, because he's played left field. I would not put him in left field. Padre should not sign him as left fielder.
No, he should not sign him as left fielder.
I think that it's weird because this move should have happened 5 years ago. Angels should have come years ago. But it just looks so bad to pay someone $100 million to not play for 4 or 5 years, right? But they have a guy named Jared Walsh who is mashing at first base. They have Shohei Ohtani who's destroying the league with lefty power hits and pitching, right? Pitched today, 7 innings pitched with 1 earned run. I mean,
yeah.
So you're saying Albert Pujols, who literally is below replacement level, is better than top 5 first baseman lefty hitter and once in millennium guy from Japan who could pitch and hit?
No, not at all.
No, you can't.
Not at all. Again,
it's the right move, but it just hurts. It just sucks.
It hurts because he deserved better. He definitely does. Yeah. There is no legitimate list of greatest players in the last 25 years. He's not in the top 3.
Yeah,
and he might even be the number 1 because remember he started playing right at the end of the steroid era.
Yeah.
And he just crushed. He wasn't as good as the steroid guys because they were on steroids.
Right.
But he sort of he was between 2001 and 2012. There was no better baseball player.
I mean, highest career WAR of any foreign-born player, most home runs of any foreign-born player, best righty hitter. I think he's probably if there wasn't a guy named Mike Trout, people would talk about he's the best righty hitter of all time. And yes. Mike Trout still has time to go to beat Albert, but it's Albert's
But
title.
Mike Trout's the best player of the last 10 years. I'm talking about the first 10 years of 2000s. There was nobody better than Albert Pujols. Albert Pujols, I think for the first time, it is a solid decade where he was the best hitter for a solid decade. Of all of it, yeah. I just think there is rumors that Major League Baseball will do at the end of after the All-Star break, they'll just do a DH rule throughout baseball. Just start it at the end, and every team will get a DH. If that happens, some National League team, I personally think it should be the Rockies, get him to 700 home runs in 3 days, then sign him as a DH.
Yeah.
Yeah, just. I mean, what he's done for the Down syndrome community, he is a gentleman and a scholar. He is one of the best athletes I've ever seen. He's the best power hitter I've ever seen personally. Consistently.
Yeah.
It's also interesting because I think Trevor Hoffman was the first baseball player I saw his entire career. Mm-hmm. From this time he came up in the majors, I followed his entire career. And the other player that I followed every year, I would look at his stats, every year I'd follow him along, was Albert Pujols. I'm a big fan of this man. I think, obviously, the Padres shouldn't sign him because we want to win, and that's sad to say. But if they make a universal DH rule, please, Colorado, or even some team that isn't going to do very well, what's going to happen? You sell a few more tickets because Albert Pujols is in your lineup.
I think what should happen. I think the last game of the season, and the St. Louis Cardinals sign him.
Yeah,
I think they sign him for a 1-day contract. Bring out the regalia. The Cardinals give him the ridiculousness they do to all their players, and I think I'd be pretty classy.
Yes, and and also like, there's no way he's retiring as an Angel.
Oh, no way!
Like when he goes to the Hall of Fame in 5 years,
he has 0 playoff wins as an Angel.
Yeah, he also has no MVP as an Angel. He also has none of his incredible stats. When you think of Albert Pujols, you don't think of him in Angels red. You think Cardinal red.
Oh yeah. It to me, it's just kind of, he defined. Someone said this. If you think about the bridge of great players, it goes Bonds, and there's overlap between Bonds and Pujols to Trout. That's kind of what's happening now, right? That's and then you see that lineage of Pujols taking on the power hitter mantle from Bonds, and then Pujols played the Angels, gave the power mantle to Trout, right?
I know, because I was thinking even Barry Bonds, who's without doubt, even before he started cheating, was one of the best hitters of baseball. But even in his time of playing, and his most dominant playing, he was competing against Griffey. He had the McGuires and the Sosas hitting home runs at the same time. He had a lot of legitimate hitters hitting with him. So he wasn't, even though he was the most dominant hitter on our side of the country, he wasn't the most dominant in baseball. And he certainly didn't. You can't, for that 10 years of our Pujols, you knew you were going to get an MVP caliber play out of him, and it wasn't even going to be close. You knew he was going to. It all depended on where the Cardinals finished. If they finished not in the playoffs, he wasn't going to win the MVP. But if they went to the playoffs, he was going to be the MVP. He was going to give you an MVP year regardless.
To me, it's the end of. It's always weird to see a generation of players start falling off from that era, the early 2000s. Like, Oliver Perez is gone now. I mean, I guess it's just Miggy Cabs, right? Miguel Cabrera is the only one from the early 2000s, right?
Apparently, Adrian Gonzalez is still playing somewhere, but
not in the major leagues.
Not in the majors, yeah. So
I mean, it's just sad to see, like, it's that era's done. Like 2015 era players that played. I would say 2010. There's like, those guys are all gone. Those guys are not. And
there are no players left from the early 2000s, especially like 2001, 2005.
Yeah,
players.
I mean, Oliver Perez is no longer. He's retired this year, or DFA'd, and I guess it's Miggy Cabs. I guess the only one.
Yeah, and he has another year or two left, and probably
a very also bad contract. But his team is very bad, so
yes,
he will play there for a while.
Yeah,
I like a lot of Tigers' talent, but they're still a bit away from being contenders again. But yeah, it's just sad, man. I don't know. It just bums me out a little bit. But if I'm Perry Manazian, the GM for the Angels, and the owner's like, "Hey, I want you to win," he's like, "Well, if you want to win, we got to make this decision." And the rumor is, and the stories are, that Albert did not want to be a bench player. He wanted to play every day.
Well, yeah, he wants to get to 700 home runs.
Yeah.
Or as close to
and
as
you
you
just
can.
Can't. If your goal is to try to compete for the wild card or to win the division, you can't do it giving Albert Pujols 500 plate appearances. You just can't. You have to give it to Walsh and Ohtani. Ohtani and Walsh are so special.
No, I 100% agree with you, and I think I agree with what I'm sad to say I agree with what the Angels did. I just disagree with when they did it.
It should have happened years ago.
It should have happened years ago, or it should have told Albert Pujols during the off season, look, we want to make a run for it. You know you can't do it anymore. We know you can't do it anymore. Let's see if we can trade you, or else we will throw the biggest party for you at the beginning of the year. Albert Pujols retires, and we would have shut down LA. We would have had Pujols banners everywhere. There was a way to do it than just cutting him a month and a half into the season.
On May 11th or May, whatever, happened a couple of days ago.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my biggest problem. You just don't cut. If he was just a ball player, fine. But the fact that he's known for so many things off the field, the fact that he is just again, all around one of the nicest guys and is an inspiration to millions, you don't do him like that. You cut him before the season starts. You say, look, we're sad to say we're cutting Albert Pujols. It's an amicable release. He could go to another team if he wants, but this might be Pujols' end. You give him a chance to, if not have a farewell season, have a farewell game. Have opening day, make it his last at bat. Again, shut down all the freeways in LA, making the Pujols day. You do something like that. You don't do him dirty like this. You don't do somebody who's done as many good things as he did in the field and off the field, which he didn't have to do. He didn't have to be a saint off the field. How many players aren't? He deserved better, and I am. It bums me out. He deserved better than what the Angels did to him.
Yep. You know what doesn't bum me out, though, James? Oakland Athletics leaving their stadium, because that stadium's awful. The other news this week, James, is the Oakland Athletics have gotten permission from Major League Baseball to potentially look into other stadiums outside of Oakland.
Yes. As long as I can remember, and even before I was alive, the Oakland Coliseum has been considered the worst baseball field in all of sports, all of baseball. And you know who I first heard say that? Reggie Jackson. You know, the great player from the 70s. I might be old, but I'm not that old. So they're finally getting permission to look for a new hometown. Potentially look for a new hometown because Oakland has said they're not going to build them a new stadium.
Well, they haven't approved the new plans. It's also a political maneuver to be like, hey, we're gonna look, and Oakland gonna say tomorrow, hey, But
as you pointed out to me before we started the podcast, if they weren't going to shell out some money for a new stadium for the Raiders,
why would the Athletics be?
Yeah. The Raiders are one of the most recognizable football teams. The Oakland Athletics are one of the oldest baseball teams, but they're nowhere near the prestige and championships as the Athletics. I mean, the Raiders have more prestige and championships than the Athletics do, and they have all their crazy fans.
Yeah, I think it's.
They have one of the fourth. If I remember correctly, the Oakland Raiders had one of the fourth largest fan bases in all sports in the world. That's not the Athletics. They have a crazy fan base, but it's not the fourth largest in the world.
I don't. What's interesting to me is like Oakland is. So they made a statement earlier today, like basically saying, "Hey, we love Oakland. We love the fans."
What everyone says when they're looking to move. They always say that. They don't want to diss their established fans, and they don't want to diss their city in case something happens, but they're looking for the door. They're looking for the exit. They have been for a while.
What they're looking for is, like any good, responsible, multi-billion-dollar owner looks for, a cheap deal. So they want a city somewhere to pay for part of their stadium.
Yes.
We can talk about the stupidity of that, but we don't have a long enough podcast for that. But I don't think this is a bluff. I think they actually do want to stay in Oakland, but they want to do it the way they want to do it. So if they can't get the plans approved, and the plans for the stadium, the latest plans are pretty cool. Like it looks like a very cool stadium. but it requires the city to transfer
It's
rights.
not in the worst part of town.
Right.
It's not in a part of town that's been dead for years. And
It's lots of transportation to and from. But the city, it's Oakland. It's not like they're clamoring to keep sports teams there. It'd be weird if they left because now like the Warriors are gone, the Raiders are gone, and it would be the Athletics leave.
True. The potential cities that are looking to expand into Major League Baseball. First, San Jose, which would be a couple mile move for them.
I think it's rude. Like that part of the bay steals the Warriors, and then it steals.
Well, I know. I'm just like, it's like where do all good Oakland people go? San Jose. But I don't. I personally would rather see them move out of California. I think California has enough big league clubs. The other cities that are in contention: Portland, Oregon.
Portland has tried to be an expansion team several times.
Could you imagine going to a ball game full of all those hipsters? They would just be like, "Oh, home run! I wish I cared." Yeah. That would be their fan. Their fan base would just be one giant. Every time anything happened, like you can't have hipsters at your team as your fans. That would be terrible.
They should pull the California Angels move and we call it the Oregon Athletics. And then be just outside Portland, so all the blue collar people come in and watch baseball.
Yes, they actually cheer. Yeah, can you imagine looking out at a Portland, Oregon team fan base and looking at all those ugly beards? Just be terrible. Anyways, the other cities that are looking that might do it: Montreal. They're thinking about that. Vancouver. Vancouver would keep on the West Coast. There's Nashville, Tennessee, which is probably not going to happen. The problem is moving it to a different division might be the biggest problem for baseball. Tijuana is still looking for a ball club, which would be fun to have a team in Mexico. But more than likely, the city that's going to get them are Vegas.
Yeah. They got that money.
They've got that money. They've got you don't need to pay for half it. We'll just raise the cost of every hotel $2 and we'll pay for it in a month.
Yeah.
The Las Vegas Athletics doesn't sound like a bad name. They have to keep the Athletic. They're one of the oldest teams in baseball. They have to keep the name, right?
I would think that's probably Major League Baseball probably forced that because just some storied lineages of athletic. That name has been throughout history, right?
Yeah.
I think they should keep the color because it's the only green and yellow color scheme. It's super vibrant. I really like the color scheme of the Athletics. It'd be weird to see him in Vegas for sure. Only because I think Vegas sports are weird. I don't know. I just like Las Vegas is such this affront to humanity. It's just weird to have baseball and football there.
Well, this season in Vegas with the Raiders will be the first test to see if they actually have, because Vegas is also such a transient city. Nobody who lives in Vegas is actually from Vegas.
Right.
I've known so many people that have moved to Vegas and then moved back because we lived in Vegas for 2 years, It was hot. What do you want me to say? It was just so they're a bigger city and there's more people moving out there to be permanent residents. So they have the population to support these teams, but are any of these people actual Vegas fans? You know what I'm saying? Are they they're rooting for their home teams, which I guess is fine. During the game today against the Rockies, there were a lot of cheers for the Padres.
Yep.
I think there were more Padre fans in the Rockies stadium than there were Rockies fans. It was pretty cool hearing them cheering Manny when he was coming up with the bases loaded. But the Raiders season this year, we'll see how they can actually support a local team. And maybe they can have a baseball team too.
I don't know. I really hope Oakland keeps them and gives them something, because I think that community needs it. I think that, I don't know. It's weird. It would be weird saying the Las Vegas Athletics, because it's always been the Oakland Athletics. I think of the Rick Henderson years. I think of those stolen early 80s. That in baseball history has a cool
Rolling fingers.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the Bash Brothers come along, and you just see Dennis Eckersley. It's just a distinctive vibe of Oakland Athletics.
That, and they're one of the first teams to the Philadelphia Athletics.
Yeah.
They're deep in baseball history. They of course have to keep the name, but I think, like you said it, there's no reason to think they'd keep the Athletics if they weren't going to keep the Raiders. There's just no reason for it. I think Oakland itself is given up. Like the whole city is just like, let's just all become San Jose. You know, like we don't actually need to have Oakland anymore.
You know what I want to see? I want to see the first floating stadium in the Bay, in between Oakland and San Francisco.
Like build their own private little island of a stadium.
Yeah. Just buy Alcatraz, right next to the Golden Gate. Expand Alcatraz, and just be like, screw it. Like this is the Bay Area. Like it's just, I wouldn't be against it.
So Alcatraz is a national park because it's national land. If they expand Alcatraz, would that still be national land? So they would be the National Athletics? They wouldn't even be a part of the city. They'd just be a part of the National Park Athletics?
I'm not familiar with BLM National Park land, but I like the idea.
Yeah,
I like the way you're thinking. I think it's, I don't know, man. I think it's weird that we get drawn into this discussion around like what owners want to do with their teams. Because it's just, at the end of the day, that the people that are screwed are the fans that show up, have season tickets, that have watched the Athletics through some pretty bad years in Oakland.
And as San Diegans, we know what it's like to have an owner be like, all you fan base, well, forget about it. We're going to move the Chargers to L.A., and everyone in San Diego goes, well, we hate L.A., so we're not going to follow you. Like,
it does stink.
It does stink. I think personally, if they moved to San Jose, that would be the equivalent of the Chargers moving to LA. It would be like, because I don't know that much about the politics of that part of California, but you just get the feeling Oakland hates San Jose.
Oh, yeah.
At least San Jose looks down at Oakland.
Yep.
Yeah. It would be a slap in the face.
I just hope it's not Portland, and here's why. I think that
all the hipsters.
I just think that.
I mean, you have to admit, it would probably have the best coffee and all.
Oh, it's the best beer and coffee. It probably have the best. It'd actually be a pretty fun time, but
really good food. But everywhere would be vaping and be like, eh.
I just think that it's funny enough that Seattle is up there all by itself, and it'd just be weird. Like, oh, you're not all by yourself. Maybe it would be fun though. Portland and Seattle would have a natural rivalry.
Well, same thing if Vancouver moved up there.
Yeah.
If they had a Vancouver team, I would like to have 2 more Canadian teams again. That'd be fun.
That'd be super fun. There's MLB is trying to do expansions, and they said after the CBA and after the Tampa Bay owners figure out what they want to do with the Tampa Bay Rays. Do you remember that 2 years ago? Do you remember this? Tampa Bay wanted to play a split season so that half their season would be in Montreal and half their season would be Tampa
I remember
Bay.
that, yes.
The dumbest idea I've ever heard.
They don't deserve to win, but yet for somehow the Rays franchise wins. They don't.
Yeah.
They don't deserve it because they're not good ownerships. They're not good to their fans, the 3 of them that they have. For some reason, they keep winning. It just it boggles the mind.
But after they figure out the stadium deal, Manfred has said he's interested in expansion, and those cities just mentioned are also part of it. But also Charlotte, North Carolina.
Well, there's no doubt. Like they've already said, if there's an expansion, Nashville or Charlotte's getting one of them.
Yeah.
And Nashville doesn't. I mean,
would it be an NL East team? More Central?
I don't know. It would probably be an East team. They're more East Coast.
Because they say they want 2 more teams. So
one of the American League, one of the National League.
Yeah.
It would make sense to be both in the. I don't know, because anyways.
Yeah.
Topic for another day.
Yep.
But as of right now, I would like Vancouver or TJ
A TJ team would be super fun.
Absolutely.
It'd be
I would drive down to Tijuana just to watch it. Tijuana Athletics.
That'd be super fun.
That would be fun.
I've changed my mind. TJ, come on.
Come on, TJ. You have a giant stadium there. The Padres have played there in expansion teams before. It's a beautiful ballpark.
Come on.
It fits like 70,000 people. Yeah, come on. Come on.
Well, James, we finished our topics. We must say farewell.
Good day.
Remember to like us on YouTube, all our videos, this video. Remember to subscribe. We're on Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Spotify. We're everywhere, baby. We're everywhere.
Everywhere you can find podcasts, we're there.
Remember to follow us on Twitter.
Hit the notification bell on YouTube. That is
Padre.
critical.
Until next time, my name is Joey.
My name is James.
And this was the Brothers Padre.
That was a lame ending, but farewell, everybody.